most expensive plumber you can call is a handyman. And that is because a lot of times, just because someone says they know how to put something together or maybe even know the right materials doesn't mean they actually know what they're doing. And I've seen it in 25 years of plumbing. I've seen a ton of examples of that, and I've got a couple I wanted to show today that really illustrate that. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to take a look at this first one. What that is an engineered I-beam, or a I-joist, I believe what they call it, and it's obviously made of wood, but it's designed to maintain the structural integrity of the floor that it's supporting. Once you cut it the way that this one has been cut, you lose all of the structural integrity of that particular beam. When they installed that drain for that tub, the person that did it didn't know what they were doing and cut right through it. And that's a prime example of why you would want to make sure to call someone that knows what they're doing and actually has insurance and experience and all those kinds of things, because it's important. Another perfect example, and I have no photo of this, but it doesn't really matter. We went to a guy's house that had a 1,000-foot water line put in between his water meter and the house. He lived out in the country. He was on community water. It was a 1,000-foot water line, right? They ran 1-inch PVC. Any plumber that has experience, that's been around for a while, knows darn well that 1 inch for 1,000 foot is not going to work, because you have what's called pressure loss on that pipe due to the PVC and the friction caused as the water passes through it. And according to the charts I've looked at, because I know I need to go look at charts for stuff like that, is it's going to be about 9.4 pounds per square inch per 100 feet. Therefore, across that 1,000 foot, he's losing about 94 psi. Consequently, he had a trickle coming out, and he wanted to have a booster pump installed. That's not going to work either, because you need volume for a booster pump to work. A booster pump actually reduces flow to increase the pressure, just like when you stick your finger over a garden hose, put your thumb over the garden hose, and it shoots out higher. You're actually putting back pressure on it, but you're reducing the amount of water that comes out. He didn't have enough water to start with. So what do we have to do? Put in a whole new 1,000-foot water line, 2-inch pipe, in order to work, to make sure that he would get the proper volume and flow over that distance. And that's the big difference, when it comes to calling a professional versus a handyman or your buddy down the street or something like that, is knowing how to handle those things. For repairing your flapper in your toilet, or maybe putting in a new basic, faucet or something like that, yeah, handymen can handle those kind of projects. But when it comes to doing things like replacing your water heater or other things like that, that could potentially cause much more damage if they fail or if they're not installed correctly, hire a professional. Hire someone that has the experience and has a license and the knowledge. And that's why in plumbing we are constantly training, constantly going over with new products that come out, and always trying to go after what the root cause of a problem is, because a large part of our job is being a diagnostician. And so going after stuff and looking at what could have caused this, not just repairing the damage caused, but what did cause this, because we run into that a lot of times. In fact, here's another example. Go ahead and pause. And what we're looking at is a supply line that burst on the hot side. Well, you might just think, well, it's just a faulty supply line and it burst. Yes, that is possible. But what can also cause that is what's called thermal expansion. A water heater when it heats up, that water expands. If there's nowhere for that water to go, if it's inside what's called a closed system, which I'm not going to go into the details of all of that, that water is going to expand. And as we all know, or if you don't know, now you do, water is not compressible. So it's going to go somewhere, and it's going to find the weak spot in the system. That's why wash machine hoses burst. That's why supply lines like this burst. Even though they're stainless steel braided, that is a rubber tube on the inside. So if we were to just go replace that supply line, have we looked at what the root cause is? Have we made sure that it's not just a worn out part? Is there something else going on? Anyways, all these are just examples to talk about why you want to call someone who knows what they're doing. And a lot of times these private equity firm companies, they're of course in the business of swapping out parts, just throwing things at it, trying to get the most out of you, but not always going after the root cause of an issue. And because they're there to make the money fast, not looking to do anything else, and they don't really train for those types of situations or that level of diagnostics. They train for sales. That's why I want to call a locally owned business, plumbing business, instead of a large private equity firm owned company. they're the ones that are going to want to take care of you. Plus, they also support the community, as I always say. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. I'll come back later. We'll talk about some more plumbing related stuff, and hopefully get you more knowledgeable within plumbing, so that you can help yourself better know when to call a plumber. Hope you have a good day. Talk to you later.